Dear friends, I welcome you all to my YouTube channel Pulikannu, the Wide Eye. Today I am addressing my fellow folklorists living in Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, these two Telugu states, my fellow folklorists who are in entire India, and my folklorist friends living across the world in various countries. I am here with some data and some kind of folk expressions, how we should call them, and what are their categories. And these things I would like to share some of my feelings regarding these folk issues to all of my folklore friends and fellow folklorists from this country, from other countries also. There has been a lot of research going on the urban folklore, urban legends, and the folk performances that are being happened in urban setting. Folk performances that take place in developed Western countries, even in European countries, and folk performances that happen in urban settings in India are different. And even the concept of urban folklore in Western countries or US and Britain, it is different from that kind of urban folklore from those countries is different from the urban folklore in India. Particularly, which kind of folklore can be called urban folklore in Indian context, in Indian setting? Particularly, I would like to focus light on this one. And there was a book on folklore and urban experience, and I still remember that Americo Pardos and some other person edited this one. And there was a international seminar in University of Texas. As a result of that seminar, one book has been brought out, that is folklore and urban experience. I am very much, it is with me now, and I tell you that who are the editors of this book. And the urban folklore and the urban experience and folk tradition. This is the book. The Urban Experience and Folk Tradition, edited by Americo Paradis and Ellen J. Stickett. These two are editors. Very valuable books, valuable papers are there in this one. And this is there a folk in the city? The Negro stereotype, Negro folklore, focus on conflict, southern mountain, medical beliefs in Detroit. All such kind of very valuable papers are there in this volume. And in all the I have gone through some of these papers in this book, and my concepts, my feelings are a little different. How to understand urban folklore in the context of developed countries and urban folklore in the context of India. Particularly, I am taking some examples from Telugu states, and I was there in many other places in India when some folk performances were going on in various cities, big cities, and as a part of governmental programs, as part of programs of some other organizations. I saw such kind of folk performances in urban settings, and I saw many folk performances in urban setting in Telugu states. I experienced such kind of folk performances, and I would like to differentiate urban folklore in Indian context in two ways. There are two kinds of urban folk expressions in Indian context. Particularly, I would like to demarcate these two things as follow. That is urban folklore that is emanated, that is emerged from the urban people who live in cities for many generations, and urban folklores that is created as a result of the industrialization, as a result of new technology. That kind of urban folklore is different. Such urban legends are different. Such urban experiences and expressions, such kind of narratives, such kind of proverbs, all different. And urban folklore that is mediated by urban people to the urban persons, and that it is mediated. Actually those performances, they are performed in villages and rural setting, and these folk performances, they have their own audience, their own traditional audiences are there for each one. I'll give some example. Oggu Kada is there, Pichukunti Kada is there, and Runja Kada is there, and many kind of such kind of folk expressive traditions are there, folk performance traditions are there, and each performance that is dedicated to one particular caste and by performed by one particular caste, and they have their own domain of performance, they have their own patrons and their own audiences. Such folk performance is invited, they brought to the urban setting, and I will give one example that one Oggu Katha performance, that is Mallanna Katha, it may be there for from minimum one night, minimum 3 nights to 30 nights. Such long performances is Mallanna Puranam. The same Mallanna Puranam or similar kind of Puranam performed by Oggu performers, and a urban organization, maybe governmental organization, maybe a private organization, maybe one family may invite such kind of Oggu Katha performance, Mallanna Puranam and some other Puranam to urban setting. It may happen in Shilparamam or some in governmental institution. The 30-night long performance epic or the 3-night long epic may be performed for 10 minutes to 20 minutes to 30 minutes. And this kind of mediation of urban people to the urban persons, bringing from village performance traditions, folk performance traditions that actually that exist in villages for a particular kind of particular patterns and particular audiences, and these audiences are different, and the traditional Oggu Katha audiences which are there in the villages are different from the Oggu Katha audience that are there in the urban setting. Actually the persons who live in cities, who are away from the villages from centuries or from at least from 2-3 generations, they do not have the experience to watch such kind of performances live at the location, live at actual location, and they have a kind of exotic enthusiasm. Exotic enthusiasm means if a folk performance is going on, if an ethnographic performance is going on, otherwise some exotic performance is there in the some kind of Shilparamam or some urban organization, and some auditorium is there, there will be some performance from ethnic kind of performances are there. The urban people, they go there and they watch it. Here watching is a kind of exotic value, to experience a kind of exoticness, exotic value, and this kind of performances it is urban mediated performance. This is not actual urban folklore. This is not these kind of performances which are brought to urban setting and which are mediated to urban people by some other person, brought from the villages, they are actually dislocated from their original place to urban setting. Such kind of performances are called urban mediated performances. So actual urban folklore and this is urban mediated folklore, these two are different. So my appeal is all to my students, my research scholars, PhD scholars, that urban folklore is little different from the urban mediated folklore, particularly in Indian context. I would like to mention that particularly that Indian context, this urban folklore and urban mediated folklore are different. That is one major point I would like to disclose my ideas. And one more thing I would like to tell that to my fellow folklorists who are working in India, that academic folklorists and public folklorists, these two are different. In America, in United States of America, these clear demarcation is there. Here academic folklorists are different from public folklorists. They have a different demarcation, and they are different domains. They do not meet each other. I think I'm sure that academic folklorists, they go to folklore, they do documentation, they collect the material and they analyze, they do research and publish papers and publish books. They are academic folklorists. And these public folklorists, they mediate public folk performances to the public setting. They have contacts with the folk performers, they go to folk performers, they maintain the lists of the folk performers, and they will be in regular touch with the folk performers. And one organization from a urban setting or a governmental organization may approach these public folklorists and they may request them that we need this kind of performance, and can you kindly supply that performance. And these public folklores, he or she accepts, and they bring the folk performance to the public setting, and they mediate a folk performance to the urban people or some other organizations. Such kind of folklorists are called public folklorists. They do not do anything with the academics. They never care for studying, collecting, documenting, and categorizing, analyzing, writing papers, publishing books. They don't do, and they maintain some contacts with the folk performers and groups, and they help them to get performances, and they act as agents between the organizations and folk performers, and they help the folk performers. These kind of folklorists are called public folklorists. They are not academicians. But in Indian settings, such kind of agents, such kind of mediators are also called folklorists. But in India, we do not have clear demarcation between the academic folklorists and public folklorists. But in other countries, a clear demarcation is there: urban folklorists, as public folklorists, and academic folklorists. Here also, we have to look at whether a person is a public folklorist or an academic folklorist. These two kinds of demarcation should be there. And the one more other kind of persons are there. They are activists. They do lot of work. They sacrifice lot of their time, money, and energy for folk performers or tribal performers or tribal people. They are activists. They fight for the rights of folk persons. They fight for the cause of the tribals. And Anthony Seeger is such a kind of great activist who sacrificed most of his life for the benefit of for the benefit of tribals. Such kind of activists are there. And in India, sometime an activist, a public folklorist, an academic folklorist, these all three kinds of persons are there in one person. Very few people are there like that. But most of the public folklorists, they claim that they are folklorists, they are academicians, researchers. So they may do some research, but mostly they do public folklore kind of things. So my appeal to my research scholars, to students in India, folklore students in India, that let us be very clear that what is urban folklore, what is urban mediated folklore, and what is public folklore, and what is actual folklore, what is actual folk performance. This kind of clarity should be there in the mind of research scholars who are working in an Indian context. Thank you very much for watching this one. And my appeal to all of my friends, fellow folklorists or research scholars working in Indian folklore, maybe in Telugu states, maybe in any other states, that let us be in touch with. And I'll be thankful to you if you like this video, please like it, share it to other friends, and subscribe to my channel Pulikannu, the Wide Eye channel. Thank you very much.